Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Hog Talk Podcast, live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe in Buzz radio networks, where you can hear us on 106.7 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I am Porter Hayes, and alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall. And we're also brought to you by Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. From preseason NFL, college kicking off, BetOnline has every stat, matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our winners take all 300,000 NFL Survivor pool for the upcoming season. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino, get on the game of blackjack, poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today, use the promo code BLEAV, and get on the action. Bet Online, the game starts here. Adam, 1 week out. Start of the season, War Memorial Stadium. They put out a press release, unofficial. They'll have plenty of water. I know that will please a lot of people when it comes to traveling down to War Memorial Stadium. So football's a couple of days away with the week 0. It baffles me they do that in high school and college. So I never really understood. That might be the hillbilly question of the day tomorrow. What exactly is week 0?
I've never when did it start? You mean, because I feel like that, I guess maybe within the last 4 or 5 years, I've heard it more, and maybe it's just something I've overlooked in years past, but I thought it was random. I thought it was weird. I still do. I mean,
I know they did it in high school for a few years now.
You know, I would get that because you have like your non-conference, your games that don't count against your schedule. But in college football, these count against your schedule. There's no preseason.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess, then you have teams like Oklahoma State, putting QR codes on their jerseys and helmets now, right after Gundy made a claim. And I mean, we got a clip and we'll discuss it after the clip.
That's what I told the players. There's no negotiating now. Portal's over. All negotiations history. Now we're playing football.
You can enjoy
just coaching and playing football.
Conference and a 12-team playoff and everything being so different, just the newness of it all.
Yeah, and the business side of what we do now is we have to have those conversations with them. Tell your agent to quit calling us and asking for more money. It's non-negotiable now. Going to start again in December. So now we're able to direct ourselves just at football, and that part is fun because there's been so much other stuff going on. It's been hard to really focus on football.
Like, so much other stuff going on, like designing QR codes for your helmet. But that Mike Gundy, I mean, look, I don't know what else more you could say about it other than it was very hypocritical for him to come out and say that, and then they release for those which is I guess it's a cool thing.
I mean,
but don't say what you did beforehand and then do that.
Here's the thing with the QR codes. I don't have an issue with the QR code thing. The issue is going to be fans figuring out how to scan the QR code, because and this is just your average, like, not tech savvy person, whatever. A lot of people don't, like on my control center on my iPhone, I can swipe down and I've got the QR button in there. So I can press it, scan it, it's done. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't do that. They haven't figured out what QR codes do. So that's going to be their biggest issue, but it's just, you sit here and say, stop asking for money, stop this, stop that. But here y'all are putting QR codes up, asking people for money. So you don't want your players to be asking for money, but your athletic department's going to be asking for money. Okay.
You brought up a good point though about the seniors. I mean, you brought up a really good point about what if they're seniors? Where's their money going? That is that QR code going to that specific player, or is it going strictly to that? I mean, I'd be switching helmets with somebody.
I mean, if I'm sitting here like we're pushing this, I'd be like, okay, I'm a senior or a 5th-year senior. Like, I have no more eligibility left. Am I going to see a dime of this? Is this for future players? Is it just going to a collective pot? Like, what's the deal here?
It's going to a raffle. I mean, they could over there in Oklahoma, but I just imagine somebody going down the field for a touchdown. You're watching it, and you got somebody with their phone trying to scan their QR code, and
I know
They get-
they'll put it up on like the scoreboards and
Yeah.
stuff, but there's going to be somebody
oh yeah,
or either somebody's sitting on their couch watching the game and they're, pausing their DVR so that they can go up to the TV to scan the QR code. I mean, this is the videos of people capturing the QR code, I think will be more entertaining than some of Oklahoma State's games.
it'd be like you're playing duck hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly the analogy I think of when people are moving something around and trying to, you're playing duck hunt. And if you miss the QR code, the dog pops up and laughs at you because
There
you
we
didn't
go.
make it in time to donate.
You can have their little cowboy mascot pop up on the screen.
The things we come up with. But yeah, 1 week out. T. Will, man, I'm very impressed in what the press conferences he's been a part of. And he was talking about sign stealing, and he was asked about his thoughts on it, and pretty much he was like, look, everybody's doing it. This is what happened. We played Louisville, then we played SMU, UCF. They have people that just look for signs to steal, write them down. And he said, I'm not mad for that happening. I'm mad that we don't change our signs. And to me, that shows that you're not looking for an excuse why you lost a game. You're looking for a solution to stay ahead of that and just focus on the game. That's the thing I was the most impressed about when he was talking about. Everybody was like, oh, well, we lost because they were stealing our signs. He's like, well, if we would change them up, they wouldn't be stealing our signs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you texted me about it earlier, I was like, I'd seen a couple of tweets and stuff about it, but I hadn't looked into it, and just looking through here now, I mean, essentially, like, he's right. Like, it's on us. It's happening. It's legal unless you're doing what Michigan did. So it's on us to fix it on our part, because he said that there's a dedicated person everywhere that their job is to watch TV games, and write down what they see. So it's happening all over the place. So it's on us to throw them off, change it up.
Eventually, it's going to come to what, and I don't know honestly why. And now I guess because you could get into the frequency and hear it, but the headset deal, where you're getting into, like a thing where you're calling in the plays in the quarterback's headset. I don't know why that is not done, or if it's illegal. Why is it illegal? Because there's no difference. I don't see where it's wrong, and it eliminates a lot of it. Unless again, you get somebody to hack into your frequency, and you can hear everything that they're doing. But I just think there's other ways, because it's sad that you have to have people put up the big, like he was saying, the big curtain if you're wanting to talk to your offense, because a lot of people are up in the booth and they're looking down. Well, he said now they got people on the field. You can't do that anymore because they can see you. And that just adds another element to just where we are in the world of college football with technology. I mean, anybody can look at and see what you're doing and study it and pass it along. So yeah, think about how difficult it is to, one, you've got verbiage, and then you're going to switch it up at halftime.
Oh, and if you've got, players, because we've seen it at Arkansas, or we've heard it at least at Arkansas. I mean, you've got these college athletes that can't learn a playbook, is changing signs mid-game or midweek an issue. And, with the NFL, it's one dedicated on offense, quarterback, one dedicated on defense, typically linebacker, that they have headsets. So
yeah,
why don't we just move? I mean, the quarterbacks in college are getting headsets that, it's what I think 15 seconds hits on the game clock, it cuts off. So that's something now that why aren't they do it for the defense? Give them up until 15 seconds and then turn them off.
Yeah.
Because that gives your coach opportunity, just like what they're getting now on offense, to do it. That's one reason I think that Taylon Green and Arkansas's offense will have an advantage, is having Bobby Petrino in Taylon Green's ear up until that 15-second mark.
Yeah.
I mean, he can sit there and look and see, and if he decides he needs something to change, let the offensive genius change it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And having it in the ear, eliminates that. If you're on the road, if you can't hear, you'll be able to hear what he's seeing, or hey, but that's where you lose the advantage of, does that put him in the booth? And do you need him down on the field or up in the booth? Because you could see a lot more of what they're doing in the booth. But I think with how things are going with the sign stealing, I mean, they're going to figure out ways no matter what. It's your job to figure out what, but to me, it sucks because you're taking time away from reps and practice to learn verbiage and words and signs and stuff. And I guarantee you that could be a lot sometimes, especially on a college athlete.
No, and I guess that gets into how we see on various sidelines. And I know people wonder from time to time, you'll see like 4 coaches standing together and they're wearing different color hats and they're giving different signs, or they're wearing different color shirt, or whatever the case is, to separate themselves. And yeah, I mean, you don't know which one's given the correct one. You don't, I mean, and that's, I'm sure somebody's getting paid to try to figure it out. But I mean, they've gotten pretty, I think, good at like mixing things up. Obviously, sign stealing is still happening, but teams are getting pretty interesting when it comes to their ideas with what they're coming up with, whether it's 4 coaches. I know for a while it was, holding up the signs that had 4 emojis on it or 4 picture. I mean, it's been all sorts of things. We've seen the shower curtain or the curtain. I mean, it's all sorts of stuff.
But you have to do that to stay ahead of the game. You have to do that to keep from people, because it does happening. And again, it takes away from the game because you're having to focus on things that, in the grand scheme of, you shouldn't be focusing on. But it goes back to the original point of like how he carried it, and he didn't seem bothered by it. He just seemed like he's very poised, and I think it teaches the defenders and in reading defenses, because no matter what somebody's seeing, you might pick up something that they don't see. You might notice a little twitch, or they do a certain thing on a run or going to the left, or this is a pitch. So that's where film comes in. And instead of trying to figure out their signs, just do like the old school, just pick up on their tendencies and study the film, what their tendencies are. And you have all these analysts, you have like unlimited amount of volunteer assistants that you can have 2 or 3 people. That's what they're doing. And if you eliminate that, I think those positions like that, those extra GAs or whatnot, you don't have that many people who are going to sit there and study what they're doing. Because like you said, that's their sole job. Write everything down and then you study what they're doing.
I think too, I mean, you've got to let the players figure things out in a sense of they need to develop how to read players, read defenses, read all whatever side of the ball, read players, learn tendencies. Because if you have a player that's solely relying on a GA or a coach or whoever to come and tell them something that's changing, verbiage just changing, we're doing this because of that. Like, if they're sitting there having to spell everything out for them, you're going to end up with players that can't think for themselves, and you're going to end up with players that are behind the 8 ball when it comes to playing defense if they're wanting to get to the next level. You're trying to use it, your signals and your sign ceilings and your whatever for a competitive edge, but at the same time, it's like you're kind of hampering these players by that being your focus, rather than them just learning the players and learning like, okay, I'm matched up with this guy, I'm going to figure out everything about him, what his tendencies are, what his movements are, versus having a coach in your head like, do this, do this, do that. No, I'm just going to play the guy straight up one-on-one.
Yeah. And we'll see how things play out next weekend or next Thursday. It's going to be the start of junior high football, college football. Football is in the air. I went to our benefit game against Harrison. It's just like being in the stadium. It's time for football. It's finally here, long awaited. And now, from now until January, February, the Super Bowl, we're going to have football every week. So we as men say, the most wonderful time of the year. And RJ Young, we had him scheduled to come on the show, missed the scheduling, had some scheduling conflicts, but he had put out an interesting tweet today about this new 12-team playoff, the college football playoff. Should the G5, is that what it was? The G5, should they be allowed a spot in the college football playoff? And Adam, I'll let you answer first, give your thoughts first on, do they deserve a spot?
Yeah. Should they be allowed to compete? I think that the answer is, in my opinion, yes. So right now, college football playoff, it includes 12 teams consisting of the 5 highest ranked conference champions and the next 7 highest ranked teams. I say yes because it's one of those things that if you've gone 12-0, you've won your conference championship, and you're, depending on, I guess, what conference you're in, it's going to kind of determine where you're ranked. I still think they deserve a spot. I just think that at some point, because the first 4 teams get buys in the first round. I'm just wondering, if that, and I'm just going to use Alabama as the example here. I'm not saying what ranking they're going to be, but say round 1 and you've got an Alabama versus a random G5 conference championship or champion. And it's just 2 or 3 years in a row. It's just a complete obliteration. Do you change it then? Do you put them in there in the beginning or at some point and then it doesn't work out and then you go back and change it? Or do you just leave it how it is? I see both sides of it. Part of me says yes, but then part of me says, well, when we have this super team or super conference, they're going to have their own playoff anyway.
Yeah.
So do you just not mess with it until that time comes?
Yeah, and the rebuttal to that from their standpoint is look at the college football playoff. Look how many teams in the semifinals just got obliterated. Well, Michigan State, Notre Dame, getting just absolutely demolished. TCU demolished Michigan. You've seen a lot of lopsided scores. So even at a 4-team playoff, we've seen a lot of bad semifinal games. I don't mind them getting a spot, but I think you have to earn it. Really, you have to hold them to the same standard as any other Power 5 school. You can't just say, again, like UCF, you play a horrible schedule. Yes, you go 11-0, but I think the standard of the schedule should be held at the same weight of, could this 11-0 team go 11-0 if they were playing in a Power 5 schedule, top to bottom? That's where this participation trophy of just because they're the highest rated Power 5 school, you automatically get a spot. So let's say they get the 12th spot every year. Well, what about Team 13 that would legitimately could beat them by 14 to 21 points on any given day? It's not fair to not give that team a chance to win a national championship, because look at all the conference realignments and stuff. This ain't the old days where you're in a conference for 30 years, 40 years. There's conference realignment. If you're really you want to be taking that seriously, join a big conference. Go up your football program to an ACC or a Big 10 or Big 12. Try to join a conference. Earn your way there. And then don't, because a lot of this happens when these UCF teams have these fluke years. You've got to build a program. And yes, that 13-0 team that they claim themselves national champions, which is ignorant. They didn't win anything. They didn't win a national championship game. So in that instance, Auburn could have said they were national champions because they went 14-0 the year they got left out of the BCS title game. So I don't like the whole just give them a spot because they were the highest ranked this. Could that team beat somebody from, let's say 10 to 15, if we're going to, because if they're the highest rated team, they might be. But if that team's already, let's put them in the position you're already in the top 12. If you've earned that top 12 ranking because of your schedule, where you're at, yes. But if, say, said team's number 18th in the country, just because they're the highest rated G5 school that won a conference championship, you're giving the number 18 team 18th spot in a 12-team playoff. That's not fair to the other teams who've played a SEC schedule or a Big 12 schedule, Big 10 schedule, ACC schedule. It's not fair. So that is where I draw the line on it.
No, I'd agree. And like reading through like that, I sent you that tweet and there was a post on it that another page had posted on Facebook, and I was reading through some of the comments just to see some of the viewpoints. And a lot of people were just like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, but not really elaborating. There are several people that were kind of like I said, it was just they'll have their own playoff soon enough. And, there was a guy that you could just tell was anti big conference. He didn't really show any affiliation with any school, but he was just attacking people on their comments. And it was like, oh, you're probably just an elitist. You're probably just, an Alabama UT fan just because they're good, just going on and on. And I'm just sitting here thinking like, so you're basically, I'm not saying somebody is an Alabama fan or a Tennessee or a Texas fan because of that they're good. Maybe they were born there. Maybe you're just assuming that because these teams are good, that this is why this person is saying these things. But the fact is you want to use Arkansas as the example, use it. Guess what? We're not going to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
I understand that. But at the same time, I know that there are, out of your 12 spots, we're going to see 5 to 6 SEC teams because they're SEC teams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fact of life. Because the same guy, he was sitting there arguing that like conferences like the SEC need to stop scheduling the cupcake games. Not saying you're wrong, but at the same time, they're playing some of the same teams that these G5 group of 5 teams are playing that are in their conferences. So why is it not okay for an Alabama to play some group of 5, some, smaller school like that? When you have an SEC schedule, you kind of earn that right to schedule those type of games twice a year.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just bringing up a random, I know a lot of talk is like, let's say just random team, Iowa. Now let's just look and see like a normal, like a Power 5. Let's go with, let me pick a Power 5 school, Troy. They would be a G5 school if they won their, like the Sun Belt, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Would that be considered a G5?
Yeah, group of 5. So Sun Belt, Mountain West.
Yeah. So let's just pick on Troy. Say they have a really good team for being in the Sun Belt. So, I'm going to compare that to Iowa's schedule, and I'll bring it up on the screen so we can just, you can see where I'm going with this. So, of course, we're going to swap Troy and Iowa. Troy has to play Iowa, but Troy could possibly beat Illinois State. Could they beat Iowa State? Could they beat Minnesota? Could they beat Ohio State? No. Then you go to Washington, Michigan State, Northwestern, Wisconsin, UCLA, Maryland, and Nebraska. Okay, so just a quick summary of that. How many games would you see a really good G5 school winning?
Not very often.
So you have to hold that in weight of, if you want to compare them and put them in the big boy bracket, you have to compare that team to what would they do against a big boy conference. And if you're Troy, and let's pull up Memphis's schedule, because they would be, I guess Memphis or SMU would be somebody that would
AAC, Conference USA, Mid-American Conference, Mountain West, and Sun Belt. So just go Conference USA, just because I have it handy.
Yeah.
Member schools. So yeah, FIU, Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State, Liberty. Liberty's an example. I mean, I don't know if that's a great example. Louisiana Tech, Sam Houston State, UTEP. I mean, these are Liberty. Obviously, is your best school there.
Yeah, well, now not because
No, now,
you
yeah,
freeze it, and that's where these programs and you build a program. You have the fluke years. Look at Western Michigan, was Western Michigan when they had the dude that's at Minnesota now. I think it was Western Minnesota. The guy, the row the boat, the coach that they wanted to come to Arkansas, bald headed dude. It is just
Kill.
no goodness
That's over.
gracious. But I'm just going on. You have a coach like that, or the coach that is at Wisconsin now. You're at
PJ Fleck.
PJ Fleck. He built a program. He had great year. Look at Boise State. Teams like that are continuously winning and winning and winning. And then Boise State beats Oklahoma. You've had, I can't remember what team Western Michigan beat in their bowl game, but they had a big marquee win. I mean, you have teams like that are programs. Could they, at the top of their program, compete? And even in that, how would they fare against, let's just throw one of the weakest conference out there. Let's go Pac-12 before they split up. Could they beat an Oregon State, USC, Stanford, Arizona State? You can't say that they would go 8-9-0 or 8-4, 9-3.
When I look at some of this too, so we've had a G5 school in the CFP. It was Cincinnati, and Cincinnati got beat 27-6 by Alabama. A team that was, I think Cincinnati was putting up 30, 40, 50 points a game that year, 2021, and they couldn't move the ball against Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what, I know that was only one team, one game, but that's what I see happening if you put in more G5 schools. Mm-hmm. You've got your one spot that's guaranteed. And then it's one of those things, say if that one team and it changes yearly, whatever the case may be, maybe for a couple of years, they win. They win their first game. They win them handily. Then maybe they have to, the committee has to look at, maybe we need to expand this to 2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Or, what's going to happen? You go ahead and say, okay, we'll let 2 or 3 teams in. And then you've got 3 games that it's 30-point losses by that G5 school. You've wasted chances for teams more deserving. It's one of those things that it's not the Power Five's faults that these other schools are less prestigious.
Yeah,
it's not. I mean, it's the rich get richer, but at the same time, they maintain, they keep going. If they have a small rebuild, or it's. I think a lot of it just comes into little man syndrome.
I'd like the idea when they gave them a New Year's Six bowl, because look, let's just be honest with the opt-outs and everything that was going on with the transfer portal. Put them in a New Year's Six bowl. You're not going for a chance at a national championship. I don't think, unless a team just goes and beats, because every G5 pretty much plays a Division I team in their non-conference schedule. You play a good schedule. You go undefeated, and say let's just throw Memphis out there again, or hell, let's go Houston. I mean that's one of the teams that there for a minute. They were beating Baylor. They could play with Texas. They were playing with Texas Tech. So let's just say Houston takes on Texas, beats them, plays Baylor, beats them, and even a win. But then you go through your conference and you're winning by an average of 14, 21 points a game. And you're getting better. You've proven, because you've beat 2 big-time schools and you ran through your conference. There might be a game where you slip up. I'm not saying you have to win every single game, because not every Power 5 school wins every game by 10 to 14 points. But you got to have that resume where you can prove that, hey, we belong. You can't just say, just because, you finished this year undefeated in your conference, you won your conference championship, we got you ranked at 16 with an 11th place team got beat by 21. Now they're 19. You're automatically in. I don't think that's fair.
And you get your, like, if we want to look at this kind of from the college basketball eyes, yes, you have your Cinderella teams that they're a high seed, make a run, but then you start noticing when that same team does that for a few to several years in a row,
Gonzaga,
they stop being a Cinderella team and they start just kind of being like a known team that's a mainstay in the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you can look at football the same way, just because, like, you have to prove yourself more than one time, I think, to earn your spot. Meaning, especially in football, you've got to, like you said, have an established program that you have done this for years on end before you get that satisfaction of knowing, like, hey, we perform, we're going to get a spot. It's one of those, you've got to put something on the field for more than 1 to 2 years. You've got to go beat teams and beat good teams. You need to change your schedule and take off some of your FCS school. And this goes for some of the Power 5 that schedules the FCS schools and what, like, stop doing it. I get it. You're paying them $1 million. They're getting $1 million to come lose. That's given us some good games, the App State.
I'd give them one. I'd give them one, just like a bye week, because look at Arkansas. I mean, look at how you talk about a team that's just not at the top every year. And look what that BYU game done the last season. You give somebody a chance to have that game where you should beat them, and it gives you time to recoup. Because look, with conferences getting stronger, I mean, imagine playing Georgia, LSU, Alabama, Florida, Florida State, Texas, OU, back to back to back to back to back. You kind of need that buffer. Now, again, how Alabama's always done it is let's do our Alcorn State game before the Auburn game, or whatever. But yeah, I get what you're saying, but we also have to be real on knowing that, that it's still tough football, and it does help out the smaller schools. So now in Clemson's case, they have to play one. It's in the contract in the state legislature that they have to schedule an in-state school to help them out.
I mean, I'd look at it kind of, I guess it's kind of one of those things that I'm not putting G5 at a disadvantage for this, but in my eyes, the group of 5, the reason I don't think that they, like, I feel like you should play up to prove yourself.
Yep.
So in your eyes, you need to be scheduling in your non-conference games somebody from Power 5, and you go beat them. Otherwise, you don't have a leg to stand on just because you went undefeated and the hardest person on your schedule, or your hardest team on your schedule, was Troy or whoever. If you're the little man, you're the low man on the totem pole, you need to play up during your season.
Yeah.
Sorry for you, but that's where it is whenever you're at the bottom.
Yeah. And we're going to head to break. After the break, we are going to release the schedule, our predictions, how Arkansas will finish game by game. Before we head to break, Arkansas soccer is tied with Michigan State in 8-9 game, 8th ranked versus 9 nationally, on the road against Michigan State, tied 1-1 at half. Michigan State had a chance to take the lead into half on a penalty kick missed. So they are tied 1-1 at halftime. When we come back, we're going to give our predictions and thoughts on the upcoming schedule. We'll catch you after the break. Looking to enhance your home's curb appeal? Look no further than Vision Exteriors. As your trusted roofing, siding, and exterior experts, we're here to transform your property. Our skilled team ensures your job is not only functional, but also aesthetically pleasing. Along with roofing, we also offer window, gutter, and siding installation to boost your home's appearance with our quality options. Visit us at www.visionexteriors.com or call us at 479-397-4770. Let's make your vision a reality. Discover wellness at Baptist Health. As Arkansas's largest and most comprehensive not-for-profit healthcare organization, we're here for you every step of your journey. Whether you need heart health services, orthopedics, or simply want to live well, Baptist Health has you covered. Visit us at 1001 Towson Avenue in Fort Smith or at one of our 250 points of contact all over the great state of Arkansas. From urgent care centers, senior living, to our primary and specialty care clinics, Baptist Health, for you, for life. Are you looking for your dream home in the heart of the Ozarks? Look no further than Hillbilly Realty. Located at 401 West Commercial Street in Ozark, Arkansas, our experienced team of professionals is dedicated to help you in finding the perfect property. Whether you're buying or selling, we're here for you with a commitment to excellence, customer service, and local expertise. We make the real estate process seamless. Call Bill Brockett today and team at 479-667-4135 to start your journey with Hillbilly Realty, where every property feels like home. Welcome to Vulcan Sporting Goods, your premium pickleball supply company right here in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Explore our premium pickleball equipment featuring pro endorsed gear and accessories. Whether you're a seasoned athlete or just starting, Vulcan has something for you. In pickleball gear, you can discover a collision of style, athleticism, and technology with our durable products. Excellence meets innovation at Vulcan Sporting Goods. Visit our website at www.vulcansportinggoods.com to explore our collections and stay updated on the latest highlights by following Vulcan Pickleball on social media. And welcome back to the Hog Talk podcast. I apologize. I was writing down a few notes before we come back for break, but we are releasing our predictions on the schedule. I know we kind of talked off air through text, kind of know where you stand on the schedule. I'm kind of on the fly. I've been contemplating on proving, like, this team really has to prove to me that they can make it to a bowl game. But then, you talk to people who are at practice or in the inside, and they're telling you just how this team's doing. But then again, you're hearing how inconsistent the team has been doing during scrimmages. So I'm really honestly trying to put together a prediction, and I'm doing it on the fly. I'm just going to go as we go, because I've been trying to think. I've said the team has the potential to win 7-8 games. You're more on the other side, and we'll break that down when I'll put the schedule up here so we can go game by game. But I would hope that, of course, let's just start with game one. UAPB. Plenty of water in Little Rock. I would guarantee that this would be a win. I think we can chalk this up. I have this as a win. I think they will win this handily. I'm going to go, let's go 49-21 will be that score. We don't have to give scores, but week one, UAPB, I'm going a win, 49-21.
Week one, I'm going to go win. I will preface mine just so the ones listening that don't know, haven't heard, whatever, when they're going to get mad at me for my predictions. I still have mine dated from when I made it in my phone. It was November 20th, 2023, when I made my schedule prediction, and I haven't backed off of it since. So yes, y'all can. That was 4 days before the loss to Missouri. That was 2 days after the FIU game. So yeah, I made it at the end of last season. I have not come off of it because I have said that give me 2 6-6 or back-to-back winning seasons, and I will start predicting a winning schedule. But until then, it's not going to happen. Yeah. So yes, but I have this one as a one or win. I would like to cover the 52.5 point spread. I don't think that's going to happen. But I will roll with 52-10 because I think that both sides will. I think the offense will be fine, and I think the defense will add a touchdown or two.
Week 2, most pivotal game of the season, the proving ground. This is going to be, I mean, really, other than the Texas game, this is going to be the most hyped up game because this is where we're going to really see where this team's at against a quality opponent. But with that being said, I don't think Oklahoma State is as a quality of opponent. I think it's more of a name than the team. I'm giving it a win because I don't see what this team has. I know what Arkansas has. I don't think Oklahoma State is as good as their namesake or what they should be. They're like, God, I would even say, where would you put them in the SEC?
Well, I mean, they're ranked 18th in the country, I think, right now.
Yeah, and they are. But to me, they're one of those teams that just stay ranked because and who they are. And then you've got a guy on defense who played for South Alabama and just you've seen what happened. I got this as a win. I'm going to say a gritty win, but it's going to be a win. It's going to be one of those 31-26 wins. It's going to be a win, but it's going to be a close win. But even with Arkansas's woes, but their defensive line, their defense is enough to stop their running game. I think that's going to be the difference in this game. But what does Oklahoma State have on defense that's going to stop this air raid attack, the tight ends, the running game Arkansas has, this balanced offense? I have this as a win starting off 2-0. I'm just, for right now, I'm going to say 31-26.
Because I'm sticking to my guns. It's a loss. But, I mean, to answer some of yours, like, it's the Big 12, so there's no defense. I mean, that's been proven in years past. So it's a matter of, can Arkansas make Oklahoma State one-dimensional? Can they take Ollie Gordon out of the game? I think Oklahoma State's quarterback, I think he was a freshman in like 2018, so he's going on his 6th or 7th year. But, you know, like I said, I'm sticking to my guns from November when the pettiness and saltiness was strong. And so I'm not going to pick a score. I'm just going to go with the loss.
Dying on the hill. Dying on that. Hey, that's fine. Hey, that's all right.
Standing on business.
The hill. All right. Week 3, UAB. I mean, now, unless just the wheels have already fallen off, I have this as a win. And just off of how I see this team buying in, they prove it on the field against UAPB, Oklahoma State. You're going into this game where you can really, you get that emotional win off your back. You have a chance to really go up against a team like UAB. I think this is going to be, I would say 42-17 if I was to give an on-the-spot score now, which I know these are going to change, you know, leading up to the weeks of. We're going to do a weekly prediction with us in Hog HQ. We're going to put together a four-person throughout the year, keep the tally. Winner gets a nice belt at the end of the year. But I get this one a win against UAB, 42-17.
Oh, and I just thought about this. Now I'm wondering if my pick'em predictions are going to be different from this schedule when I'm like, coming off my saltiness.
That's for a belt, though.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true. We're going to have a
changes
belt, WWE style. So UAB, I've got as a win. What that score is, who knows? I mean, something game like that, kind of in your ballpark of maybe a 45-20. That game, I mean, it's one of those that I just don't see there being. You hope you don't have the issues that you had like against Western Carolina last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and moving on to the Auburn game. Look, I want to believe they would win this game because of that momentum, but we got to look at the history. We got to look at how Arkansas has done. against Alabama or Auburn. And yes, you can't really bring last year's team into this year's team, but look, you got to go to Auburn, and it's a flex. It's either, you get the two, it could be 2:30 or 7:00. You don't know where this game's at. And honestly, look, this could be a game where, and I know they want to be 3-0, you want to win every game, but this is going to be a game that coming in 3-0, Auburn's going to take you a little bit more seriously than if you were 2-1. And knowing that, and knowing what Auburn has, unless, I see Auburn winning this, I'm going to go a loss.
Jordan Hare's a tough place.
Yeah, it is. It is. And Auburn's a good football program. So, I don't think it's outlandish to say that I think Arkansas is going to lose to Auburn. Score to be determined.
Well, here we get into my long stretch of L's. So I'm going to go with a loss, standing on it. Here's the thing with this game is kind of like we've said about the way Arkansas season could go with an early loss. I'm waiting for the wheels to fall off for Hugh Freeze. I feel like it's coming sooner or later that something's going to happen to cause issues there that he has shown the door. Don't think it happens yet. It is one of those things that, like we said, whether it's a game that we just get outright beat in, or it's a game that the refs give the game to Auburn like they did with Bo Nix. We have things going against us. I just think we come out of there with a loss. I'd like to see it the other way because I feel like we owe Auburn a little bit, but I'm going to go with a loss being in Jordan Hare.
Moving to Texas A&M. And I know Arkansas's woes in this game. I know this is a game that it's always been tough. But with that being said, I'm going to treat Texas A&M like I do Oklahoma State. In this season, you're looking at Texas A&M, you're looking at a game that the monkey's on their back trying to win this game. But you've seen what happened. You've seen the wheels fall off there. I have this as a win. Last game in Arlington, I think Arkansas, if my schedule is holding up, you're still 3-1. You're 0-1 in conference, but you have a chance to bounce back. A team that's down. So I have this as a win. I'm again, even in a win, it's gritty. This be like one of them 31-28, 28-24 games. It's going to be a one-score game. I'm not going to give a true until we get into it. But no, I have this as a win because again, Arkansas has improved. And you look at that 4-8 record, but you look at all the games they lost by one score. And I feel like Arkansas has a better offense. Their defense, it might be questionable, but I think that their offense is going to score more points. They're not going to have trouble scoring in the red zone. They're not going to blow leads. They're not going to let Bobby Petrino, if he's running the offense and Sam Pittman gave him the keys, you've seen what he done with Ryan Mallett right there before halftime. This guy's not going to let off and let a team come back on offense. He is going to score. I have this as a win.
So again, we'll just get out of the way and say L because again, this was last November. And a lot's changed since then too. They at that point in time still had Jimbo, still had Petrino. All that was going. We didn't have Petrino, so I'm going with the L. But in my heart of hearts, I think this is a game that even though Jimbo's not there anymore, I still think Coach Petrino comes out guns a-blazing. But this game is always wonky. Mm-hmm. There's always little quirks or something that happens in these games. But, for the sake of sticking to it, I'm going to go in L. But I do think that this could be the year to finally, get the proverbial monkey off your back with A&M.
Yeah. Moving on to Tennessee. You get this at Fayetteville. this could be one of them things that if it's a 2:30 game, you might lose it. A 7 o'clock game, you could very well win this game. I still right now have this as a loss. You got to look at what Heupel's been able to do with this program, with this team. And no knock on Arkansas. And when it comes to when you're looking at the schedule and looking at the teams that you're going to have to play, you even if Arkansas has improved from a 4-8 team, say they're a 7-5 team, you're still going up against a really good Tennessee team. I have this one as a loss. I just don't think they have enough to stop Tennessee on a defensive standpoint. Could be wrong, but I just think that, and also again, we don't know the state of our offensive line. We've heard Kudus is coming back, and I mean we do not know. All of this could flip because of the fact that their offensive line is not 100%. They don't have any depth. So I'm going on a whim and even going with the right now. I'm at 4-2 after the Tennessee game. You come out against Oklahoma State and you can't run the ball. Well, that just changes a lot of things when it comes to the predictions. But I'm going to stick with this loss, Tennessee.
Again, we're going with another loss. Now, kind of like you touched on, I think that some might look at it as minor. I think it could make a difference if this was a night game. Last 2 times that Tennessee has played at night in Fayetteville, Arkansas, I believe it's the last 2 times. And I'm going back to, what was it, 2010 or 2011, Joe Adams punt return. And then, what was it, the 2021 season, I think, when we beat them handily.
Yeah.
I just think that, yes, those teams were different back then. But for some reason, Tennessee in night games in Fayetteville, those games are just the fans bring the energy. Those games are just always intense for the Arkansas side. So I think you have an advantage if you're Arkansas and that ends up being a night game. I think one thing that will determine if that's a night game is where both teams stand, a week or 2 leading up to it when they're flexing schedules.
And that's the thing. I see it as and look, this is going to be crazy. I mean, a lot of people are going 2-3 wins or getting just the same if they say 7-8 wins. I mean, that's just because and I get it. I get both sides of it because you have to prove you have to win the games. You can't just expect people just to believe that because you're coming off a 4-8 year and we're seeing these wins and losses to automatically believe it. Don't happen like that. You got to give people a reason to believe. I'm just looking off of what we have returning, all the close games. And I know I have a Tennessee game as lost, but look, if I knew for sure that this game was going to be at 7:00, it could be. Look what they did Texas. I mean, Texas was a better team, but they played them at night, and it was Texas. And you've seen what happened. And now look what time you play Texas this year, 11 a.m. So but you have it as a loss. I have it as a loss. Moving on to LSU. This is where you come off of a bye week and play LSU. I have this as a win because you see what we just talked about, 5 to 7 p.m. against LSU for the Golden Boot. LSU does not have their Heisman Trophy quarterback. They go in with their backup quarterback from last year who hasn't proven that he can lead a team. Just hasn't proven it. And I know our guy down there, Blake Perfino, is probably going to blow up over this. But, I mean, look, they struggled to beat Arkansas last year. This is one of those wins that was a 1-score game with a Heisman Trophy quarterback and a mobile quarterback. You look at the Alabama game and the LSU game. 2 games where you could have won them. And they had a mobile quarterback, especially in the Alabama game where that 3rd and long turned into a touchdown, completely changed the outcome of that game. People don't realize you played tough against LSU and you played tough against Alabama. They look at those blowouts you had against Missouri and Auburn, and they've more so carried those into this season than anything else. I have it as a win. I know it sounds crazy, but I do have a lot of belief in this defense. I have a lot of belief in Bobby Petrino and what he's going to do with this offense. I believe it was 5 red zone chances you had against LSU last year,
Something
and
like that.
you screwed the pooch.
Mhm.
So that has a lot to do with the timing. You're not going to have those red zone woes. And LSU has lost talent at the quarterback position.
I'm going, again, it's not going to surprise anybody going to L. Here's the thing with this. It's kind of like you touched on. You don't know what you have in your quarterback. You're going to a completely different quarterback than you had last year. Here's the thing too, is I know that it was SEC media days. There's a lot of coach speak, etc. Brian Kelly really seems to think all around that they're going to win games in the trenches this year. That's where that LSU's identity is going to be, and that's what's going to set them apart. It is something listening to him talk in some of his interviews. I think he's fully bought in on that, as he should be, and I think that that's where the game's going to be won. So again, I think if you go honestly on this game being between 5-7 o'clock, I think that could go either way, because this game is always just played well by both teams. So I think in that aspect of it being between 5 and 7 start time, I think that's kind of a wash. I think it's going to be a good game regardless, but I'm just going to go with the L.
Moving on to Mississippi State. Starkville, 11 a.m. That could be, when you're talking about those 11 a.m. games. Plus, when we talk about toss-ups, you have to factor this in as a toss-up, because you're coming off in my schedule. If I'm going off of what I think is going to happen, wins, losses, you're coming off a high win, got the boot back, then you got to go to Mississippi State. Mississippi State tripped us up before after a big win. So I still have it as a win, but this is one of those games that you have to be careful, because one, look what you have for the rest of the season. This is going to have to be one of those must wins, no matter where you're at in your win or loss record, especially where I'm at right now. You have to win this game. This is one of your must wins, where you got your UAPB, UAB, Mississippi State, La Tech. Those have to be you're talking about these 3 wins, 4 wins. You have to win this Mississippi State game, and then still 2 games. Just that's the way the schedule's always worked out for Arkansas. You've got to win your 4 non-conference games, or 4 easy games. If you're not going to beat Oklahoma State, you've got to replace it with Mississippi State, and then sneak away 2 wins somewhere else. I have it as a win, but I don't think it's going to be an easy win unless they're just rolling. They're that bought in. But until otherwise, I have it as a win. Yes, it's going to Starkville. There's a lot of Mississippi State fans talking crap about it. But look, preseason, we're 13th and you're 14th or something like that. You're 14th and you're 15th. So, it's not absurd to say Arkansas can win this game.
Yeah. Back in November, yes, I put this as an L. This is the one game that if I was going to go back and change my 3-9 to a 4-8, this would be the game I would change. I just think that Mississippi State is further back from where they were a season ago, and it's nothing against Levy. You're a new coach coming into this. I just think there's going to be a little bit even more growing pains for him year one. This is a game that I would have put as a W if I wasn't so salty then. So we're going to go an L.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss could be a playoff team.
Look, Ole Miss is nasty. This could be a bad game. Just Lane. Look, Lane's on a mission. Lane is playing for his dad this year. Look, you got to throw. This dude, he has a lot of respect for Sam Pittman. So he knows he's not going to take advantages, because he knows Bobby Petrino. He has a lot of respect for Sam Pittman. Even talked about him when he was with Marty McGee about his dad, and a story that Sam Pittman told him. This game, no, yes, it's in Fayetteville, but I don't see Arkansas being able to outscore Ole Miss. I see this 14-21 point game leaning more toward the 21 because I just think Ole Miss is that good. No knock on Arkansas. I just think Ole Miss is that good.
People already think, that Ole Miss is going to be good. And like you're saying, with Lane having something to prove, I think this is the year that Ole Miss takes a step further from where they've been at. He's out to prove a point. I think that he is in the driver's seat for, potentially. I mean, you could throw it out there besides Georgia winning the SEC if it comes down to it. So I look at this as I don't like using this term easy win for Ole Miss against Arkansas, but it's a multi-touchdown victory for Ole Miss.
Yeah. They're just, again, it's with Alabama not in the picture. You really, I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of what the SEC is now, depending on what Texas does coming in, because they're next on the schedule. I mean, Ole Miss could be that number 2 team in the conference. They're that good. But moving on to the Texas game. Yes, it's in Fayetteville. It's 11 o'clock. I think that hurts Arkansas. I think it hurts Arkansas in the aspect of you're going to need the Razorback fans to have a full day of pregame and getting hyped up, getting the students in there. You're going to need the full Arkansas effect like you did in 21 to beat them. But they're another team that I think is really good. That I have this as a loss, by the way. I know that's not what everybody wanted to hear, but look, you're still playing a very tough conference. You're still playing a lot of tough teams. Arkansas, in my opinion, I've already got them bowl eligible. So in my opinion, they have improved a lot, but I can't go off the ledge and just be like, oh, just because it is Texas, they're going to beat them. They have beat them, but they didn't have the quarterback that they do now. They don't have the guys that they do now. Texas is a legit contender, and they're a different team than when they come in here in 21. So I have it as a loss, close loss, but I still have it as a loss.
Texas is definitely a different team than 21. What was that, Sark's first year there? Coming off of a CFP appearance. Quinn Ewers, another year in the position. He's proven what he's got. 11 o'clock game hurts us. I think it takes the fans don't need a reason to get hyped. It's Texas. They're going to be hyped. But I think putting that game at 11 a.m. takes a bit of that aspect of having a rowdy stadium away, because you don't have an entire day to pre-game to get ready for it. Games like this, I do not like at 11 o'clock. I in the years past, I've never liked the Red River Shootout at 11 a.m. like those games are. So it's one of those, I don't like it. It's going to be a loss. That would be a loss regardless of whether I'm being petty or not.
Not going to spend much time on this one, wrapping up the show, but La Tech, I have it as a win. That puts me 7 wins. So, I have La Tech in Fayetteville. Don't know a time yet, but I have it as a win.
Yeah, that's my 3rd win of the season. And so no surprise there. But now, and this is the game too. I mean, I think La Tech is better than some may think. But I have it as a win. This one, I would look more in the realm. Now, granted, this depends on how your season goes, because you're looking at your 11 games in. But this would be a game that is going to be closer than, say, the Arkansas FIU game was last year. I think you win by 14-17 in a game like this.
Last game of the year at Missouri. You're not winning. I mean, look, until it's weird. I'm going to contradict the hell out of myself on this one, but they have the same coach, have the same team, same hunger, and you have a coach that in rare form, a coach that wants to beat you more than I think you want to beat them. And he's proven that. Beating you knowing he's much better and then lighting the cigar. Look, the dude wants to beat Arkansas, I think, more than any game on that schedule. If you just go one game, you want to win them all, you want to compete for a national championship, you want to beat but I'm saying if you pinned him down, what game do you win more than any game? You're going to say Arkansas. And until Arkansas, with a team like this, you surprise me and beat, I'll eat the crow. But this one right here at Missouri, 15,000 screaming fans, I mean, but no, I can't. This is one of them teams really you can't talk crap about it because until you start winning the games on a consistent basis, this was a top 10 team last year. So I just have an inkling Arkansas drops this. My final prediction, preseason prediction on the year 7-5, you're bowl eligible. And then depending on how that goes, you could have an 8-5 year or 7-6 year, depending on your bowl game. I won't put too much emphasis on the bowl record though. I want to, because that's where, again, you're going to a bowl game. If you're 7-5, you're not going to a big time bowl game. So you're probably going to have your portals and your transfers and your opt-outs, right? So you really, now if you want to hang your hat on 8-5 year, just say, hey, do you, because you flipped your, you went from 4 wins to 8. Awesome. But
yeah,
7-5.
In years past, that was always kind of like how you gauged your season, making a bowl. So
I'd have more respect for them that they're like, okay, yes, Penn State game, Outback Bowl. You didn't have all your people. They didn't have all their people. You won the game. But I would hang my hat on, look what you did on your regular season, and we just call what the bowl game was. Call it a spade. If there's a lot of opt-outs, you know what I'm saying? Now, both teams are full strength. Let's play ball. That's a different story.
Yeah, I just anymore you can't hang your hat on making a bowl game, and I know we've done it in years past. I know, if you want to go back to bowl games were different back in the day. It is one of those things. I don't want to use a bowl game to make the record look better. You either went 7-5 or you went 8-4. Saying that you went 8-5. It's hard for me to do that anymore with the way bowl games are these days. So I just think
those wins in within the team, within the family. Because look, let's be honest, and I'm including Sam Pittman in this. The last two that really hung their hat on a bowl win like that: Brett Bielema, Texas; Sam Pittman, Penn State. And look at the after effect. You didn't take that and make it into a successful program. So let's see what happens this year. I'm proud to say I'm going out on a limb and saying, because I'm giving Arkansas some good wins, 7-5. And I know it might change now. This is going to be separate than what our weekly pick'em is. So look, Adam starts predicting Arkansas will win a lot. Don't come for him. Well, you had them at 3-9. I know there's going to be that, but that's my final answer, 7-5.
Yep, I'm going 3-9, like I said. And I'll repeat myself. And if somebody wants the screenshot of when I made this graphic that's date and time stamped, I've got receipts.
Yep.
I made it in my full pettiness the last week of the college football season last year. It is what it is.
There ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Look,
so I'm sticking to it. I'm not flip-flopping.
That's the thing about this year. You can say 7-5 and we've had a legitimate argument. There's been nothing fandom or sunshine pumping about what I've said about a 7-5 year. But then on the other hand, you went 3-9 and you can't make an argument of why they won't go 3-9. You can hear the noise from the inside. You can say that they feel like they're doing better. They've said that they're bought in, but we've heard that. It's not like this ain't something we've heard before. Mm-hmm. So you're standing on your business. I'm standing on mine. Hopefully, this turns into a really good year for Arkansas. It starts next Thursday. When we come back Monday, we're game week. It's game week. Also, this is our last Thursday show. We will come back to you on Mondays and Wednesdays, more in line of there's a possibility of doing some 15, 20-minute segments throughout the week, having something maybe on a Saturday pregame, more so solid Monday, Wednesdays at 6:30. And then throughout the week, maybe a Saturday, Sunday recap. If Arkansas pulls off a huge win against LSU or Tennessee, might come on after the game, share our thoughts for a little bit and join the fun. But as of right now, next Wednesday, 6:30, but we'll be on our normal time on Mondays.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of that's going to be just kind of on the fly with how the week games go, how the weekends go. And it's one of those things with having HQ Live on Sundays.
Yep.
You just might do a joint show
Exactly.
on Sundays. And, that's the perk of doing all this the way we do it.
That's right. Well, that will do it for this episode of Hog Talk Podcast. Again, thank you to all of our sponsors, along with Believe, Buzz Radio Network, all of our listeners and fans for making this happen. And we'll catch you on Monday.